This is a brief introduction to the Ramakrishna Vivekananda Vedanta movement in Brazil. As you all know, the continent, South America, has many countries, if I'm right, 12 countries. And Brazil is the biggest country in South America, the southern hemisphere. It's the fifth largest country in the world in terms of area, but more than one third of it is taken away by the Amazonian forests, the Amazon River and the huge river forest, the basin. But that's the breathing space for the entire world. Amazon is the life source for many of us. It gives us so much of oxygen. So we need to preserve that Amazonian forest. So that's a important part of Brazil, which gives Brazil its characters. Okay, so I come from Rio, and the movement in Brazil started because of the interest that was developed in Argentina. So there was a group of devotees who came to read Vedanta, who came to understand Vedanta, inspired by the success of Swami Vivekananda in America. The effects came to the South. He was so popular. So there were newspaper reports, and the news reached some of the devotees in Argentina, and they formed a group to study Vedanta. And after being inspired by Vedanta, they wrote letter to Prabuddha Bharata, to the Ramakrishna mission. They somehow got the address of Prabuddha Bharata and wrote a letter to Prabuddha Bharata requesting for somebody to guide them in Vedanta, for a Swami to come to Argentina. And then that letter was forwarded to Belur Math, and then the Belur Math took interest. Swami Shivanandaji was the president of Ramakrishna order at that time. He is a direct disciple, and he took special interest. He had some vision about the movement in South America. He knew that it is going to be solid work in South America, and so he sent Pashupati Maharaj, Swami Vijayanandaji, who was a disciple of Brahmanandaji, to Argentina in 1932. Swami Vijayanandaji came to Argentina in 1932 and slowly started a center and bringing devotees together. He was invited to Brazil in 1952 after 30 years of his coming to South. So then he started coming to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro mainly, and used to stay for 1 month, sometime 2 months, and used to give lectures to people on Vedanta, on Ramakrishna, on Vivekananda, and slowly the devotees started coming together. And this is how the movement started in Brazil. So you can see the number of centers that we have in Brazil. We have only 5 centers in Brazil, of which 3 are independent centers. The first center that came up was in Sao Paulo. Though the movement started in Rio de Janeiro, the focus shifted to Sao Paulo, which is the business capital, the financial capital of Brazil. So the Sao Paulo center is well established. They have a big property, and there are 3 Swamis staying there. The Swami Atmajnananda, he is the spiritual head of the Ramakrishna movement in Brazil, the guru who has been going around and meeting people and giving initiation. So he has consolidated the movement very well. So he stays in Sao Paulo. He has 2 assistants and 1 young brahmachari who has joined there from Rio. So now Rio and Curitiba are 2 other centers which were recently made independent, and they are growing centers. So we have two more centers as sub-centers of Sao Paulo, one in Belo Horizonte and another in the capital, Brasilia. They're all in one part of Brazil, as you can see, okay, in the eastern side. The western side of it is covered by the Amazon forest, as I told you. Some study groups, some Vedanta groups are there in other parts, but not yet consolidated. So again, you see Brazil here. There are some other groups in Colombia, in Mexico, in Guyana, in Peru, but very disorganized. A few devotees here and there. So this is just a depiction in Rio de Janeiro center to show a bridging between India and Brazilian culture. Here you will see the church or the basilica of Our Lady of Aparecida, who is the guardian saint, the patron saint of Brazil. So this statue of a small mother goddess was found by the fishermen in the rivers, and that was installed as Our Lady of Aparecida. If you see, it's a beautiful statue. So some say that it could be Kali, some say it could be some Parvati or something like that. We don't know from where it came, because according to the history, migration to the southern Americas happened through two routes. One was through the Pacific Ocean. Some people, humans, moved by boats from the Southeast Asian and other areas and landed in Peru and occupied South America. That is one theory, which is well documented and based on archival records. And then there is another movement which happened through the North America. The humans moved from Africa, then came to pass through the Bering Strait, came to North America when it was all one land mass. The Arctic was connected to land, and then they came to South America through North America and settled there. So these are the two ideas that are there. So this Mother of the Waters, Lemanja, is another goddess who is widely worshipped by the people in South America. And one person, he adopted Swami Vivekananda as the patron of Brazilian culture through esoteric circle of thought communion. He started an institution, and he was a Freemason, and he wanted Swami Vivekananda to inspire people, the ideas of Swami Vivekananda to shape Brazil. So that's how Swamiji's influence was there in Brazil. This is not Ramakrishna Mission Brazil, this is Arlindo Correia da Silva. He was a man, inspired man, because he had repeated visions of Swami Brahmananda, who asked him to do some service for the poor children. So this institution has grown into a big institution. It's named Instituição Ramakrishna. Okay, it's in Betim, which is near Belo Horizonte. So thousands of students get education here. It's a different organization. It's not connected to the Ramakrishna Mission. So this is Swami Vijayanandaji, who was a disciple of Swami Brahmanandaji, who came first to the southern hemisphere. And this is Swami Nirmal Atmanji, who is now the spiritual head there in Sao Paulo. He is a disciple of Swami Vireshwaranji, mother's disciple. So this is the movement that is happening in Argentina. This is Swami Pareshananji, who is a spiritual head there. This is our center in Argentina. Okay. This is the house where we have the center in Rio de Janeiro. As you see, this house was built in 1865. Okay, this is an independent house. So we have two floors. The top is a big hall, very big hall. So maybe 3 times this hall. And we have all our lectures and other events there. We have a kitchen, we have a dining hall there, and below is the temple and the monks' quarters with the office. the ground floor.
That looks almost
So
like
it's
India.
huh?
That looks almost like India.
Oh, so this is on a very famous in a very famous locality, Santa Teresa, which is on a small hillock, and this building has huge big walls. It's an old construction, 1865, and stone walls with whale oil. There's no cement or anything used in this building, so the walls are very thick, about 1.5 feet thick. It keeps it cool even during the summer, and it has been repainted and modeled, and the garden has also been spruced up. Now it's an old house, it requires frequent maintenance, that's all, but it's a beautiful place. This is Rio de Janeiro for you, the Christ the Redeemer, the famous iconic statue of Christ in Rio, Sugarloaf. It's a beautiful city with a forest, plenty of beaches, everything. This is these are our activities in Rio de Janeiro: the arati, the talks, the lectures. This is the shrine that we have, a beautiful shrine. We have around 45-50 people coming for our Sunday talks, and around 25 for our Saturday meditation class. So this is when we have events and when we distribute free food for the people, for the poor, distribute toys to children during Christmas time. Okay, service activities. This is the temple in Sao Paulo, the building in Sao Paulo. This building incidentally was a marriage hall, okay, where they used to have marriages. So that came up for sale, and the Swami bought it, remodeled it into a beautiful temple. It has a large hall. These are the publications in Portuguese, a sample of the publications that we have. The Gospel is also translated. A new edition of the Gospel is coming just within a few months. We will have it by the end of this year. The 4 yogas of Swamiji, and then Eternal Companion is very popular, meditation by Swami Bhaskarananda, and the journal Vedanta, which is published once in 3 months. This is the sub-center Embu-Gosu, very close to Sao Paulo, around 45 kilometers from Sao Paulo. So this is a beautiful retreat place. We have spiritual retreats here. Swami Ritajananji, Bhaskaranji, all the visiting Swamis, Bhashanji, I think even Chetananji has visited this place. It's a beautiful house. A rural setting. There is also another hill, absolutely quiet. This is Belo Horizonte. This is also an independent house. They have another house for service activities with the computer training, physiotherapy unit and all that. The temple is in the first floor. This is the Brasilia. Brasilia is the capital of Brazil. 60 years ago, Rio was the capital, but then the capital shifted to Brasilia and a new city was made. This is the temple there. Just recently, around 2 months back, this center has been accepted as an official center, sub-center of our Sao Paulo center. So above is the temple and the lecture place, below is the dining hall and living room and everything. It's a nice place. It's an independent house. This is the other official center that we have, Curitiba. This is also on the top of a hill, and the people from Europe have settled all around it. It's a beautiful city. It's one of the most beautiful cities of the world. It's considered one of the most well-planned cities of the world, Curitiba. It is cold during the winters, maybe 0, 2 degrees. Sometimes it does snow also. It's a very pleasant place. This is the house, okay, in Rio de Janeiro. as you are seeing it. Some repairs that we are undertaking, and just to give you an introduction. Thank you so much for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you.